Hi everybody, I hope that you're doing well. I have a little teething girl with me today, so she just really wants to be held, and I'm not going to get anything done if I don't bring her along, so she's going to join us for this session. I just tagged a couple people who said they wanted to be tagged. If you want to be tagged in the rest of the series, please let me know, but I'll just wait for some people to hop on, and then if nobody hops on, then we'll just go and people will watch the replay. So hello, welcome. So yesterday we talked a little bit about trauma, and I kind of wanted to talk a little bit more because there's so much I could say. I could talk about this. I could write a book on this. As a matter of fact, I probably will at some point. But one of the things that I've gotten some questions about, and hi Deanna, how are you? One of the things I've gotten some questions about is acceptance. And then in our thread where somebody shared anonymously their story about some trauma that they've experienced. Hi, Nicole. We kind of had a really good conversation around spiritual bypassing and a lot of the things that people say to people who've been through some severe trauma that doesn't really sit right with me personally. And this isn't to say, like, guys, I don't claim to be some kind of expert or guru. I don't claim to know everything. I'm a student of life and the spirit and the universe just as much as anyone else. But I do know a lot about trauma, and I have a lot of formal education in it, and I've done a lot of work on myself, and I know a lot from a spiritual perspective, and I channel my higher self a lot. So this is just my perspective on it. Take what resonates and leave what doesn't. Hopefully it will help a little bit. But one of the things that has always frustrated me, and a big thing that I ran into in my journey was, like, I started this spiritual awakening. So I tried to go into spiritual spaces. I wanted to meet spiritual people, but I was really going through it. Okay. Really going through it. I went to a bunch of healers. Sometimes it was just like regular conversation, and like, I don't want to, like, I had a lot of childhood trauma, which isn't worth going into right now, that I was working through, whether or not I realized it. I did have like complex PTSD, which I guess I still kind of have, but I worked through a lot of it. But that was resulting in some really severe depressive episodes. Like seriously, like suicidal, like didn't want to be alive, all of that kind of stuff. And I'm happy to say that I've worked through it. This is all in the past, but it was deep, right? So I went to people because I needed help. Like, I just felt like I needed help. I was so desperate for help. And, people would say shit to me like, oh, just be happy. Or what you need to do is just be happy. And I'm like, okay, I'm trying. I would like to be happy, but how? Or people would be like, well, you're just speaking this into your life because you're not being positive. No, I didn't speak the trauma that had already happened in my past into my existence. It's affecting my emotional experience. I was creating experiences out of those emotions, but telling myself to just be positive didn't work. And I tried that sometimes. Like, I tried being positive. You're right. It is bullshit, isn't it, Kaylee? But like I tried to be positive, but like it didn't make anything go away. It just made me push my emotions down. And then I'd start feeling a certain way again, because whenever you push those emotions down instead of releasing them, all that they do is just keep coming back up. They don't go anywhere. They just go deeper into your psyche and their subconscious. And you start manifesting from them without realizing them, because they're still there. They're still in your energy. They're still in your energetic blueprint. They're still in your DNA, and you're still carrying them. And we'll talk a little bit more about the energetics of trauma in another video. Okay, so the problem is, and as I've grown, but at the time I didn't really trust myself, I thought that I was doing something wrong. And a lot of my childhood wounding comes from this place of thinking like, I need to be perfect. I need to be better. I need to be right. You know what I mean? And I kept working on myself almost out of my place of wounding, because it's like, okay, there's something wrong with me. I have to fix it. And there wasn't really something wrong with me in the sense that I needed to fix anything about who I was to be worthy of love. But I did have a lot that I needed to work on, that I was creating bad behaviors and bad patterns out of my wounding. Okay. So basically, there's a lot of gaslighting in the spiritual community, and there's a lot of something called spiritual bypassing, because so many of us come to this path because we want to end our suffering. And suffering is really a great tool for spiritual growth, unfortunately. And unfortunately, the spiritual path doesn't really end our suffering either. Unfortunately, I've learned that the hard way over and over again, but I've tried. So a lot of times we get into the spiritual path when we're earlier on our journey. We start learning these truths, like about soul contracts, our higher selves, the fact that everything has a meaning and a purpose. And that is true. But the first level that we have, it's like we kind of can almost use that as a coping skill to bypass our real feelings, grief and trauma. And instead of resolving it, we kind of just like are like, I'm not going to think about it. I'm just going to be super spiritual and super perfect and accept that this is what it is. And I'm going to be positive, and I'm not going to think about it anymore. I'm going to tell you that does not work. And it's still rampant in the spiritual community, because a lot of people are still earlier on their journeys. And if they're preaching that to you and saying that to you, I'm just going to tell you they're probably wrong. And I'm not saying this to shit on anyone specifically, and I'm not saying this to be like I'm better than anyone else, because I'm not. I'm just telling you what I've learned in my experience. And a lot of the people who are doing that have not done their shadow work, because who wants to do shadow work? It's hard and it's shitty and it takes a long time. I will say it's fucking worth it, but it's hard. So basically what happens is people kind of use the spirituality as a way to escape their human existence, which is not really helpful, because our human existence is really a part of who we are. And we came here to have a spiritual human existence. And that's part of our spiritual growth, is becoming a human and then integrating those human experiences. And also, your positive emotions are, your positive and negative emotions, quote unquote, positive and negative, are part of that human experience. And they're also not who you are. It's just part of your experience. You're literally experiencing and observing them. So basically, like I think I talked about before in that other video about manifestation, how we worry about when we're doing shadow work, we're going to manifest something bad. Another thing that we can be taught in some spiritual circles is that our feelings are what manifest things. That's actually not true. I'm going to call bullshit on it. Because our feelings are not our whole energy. You can be high vibration and feeling bad. You can be low vibration and feeling positive in the moment. Our emotions are connected to our energy, but it's a lot more complex than people make it seem. Our emotions are more of what our energy is telling us. Usually we do feel better in a higher vibration, but that's because we're in a higher vibration. We didn't trick our minds into being happy, and that brought us into a higher vibration. So basically, a lot of times we are told that we just need to be positive or be happy, and that's going to fix everything. And it's not. We have to work through it. I'm sorry. That's our shadow work. It sucks. I wish that we were able to just skip it over. I really do, because I avoided it for years and years, and it sucks. And I wanted to experience extreme emotions in this existence. So my emotions are dramatic as all hell, and they're really bad, but it makes for good poetry, and I'm supposed to write in this lifetime too, so there's a meaning in that. So I guess what I'm getting to whenever it comes to acceptance, and I do teach acceptance, I'm going to continue to teach acceptance because acceptance is important, but acceptance doesn't mean saying this was okay. Acceptance doesn't mean saying that somebody didn't do you harm. Acceptance doesn't mean saying that you asked for this in any way. There's no victim blaming here. The way that karma works actually is a little bit more complicated than people make it out to be too. Yes, our souls want these lessons, but there's a lot that's going on in Earth and the density of Earth that makes us trapped in karmic cycles we actually don't need to be in. And that's part of what I'm working with people to do, is help clear those karmic cycles so we can stop repeating those patterns. We don't have to keep going through these cycles over and over again, and we don't have to keep learning these lessons over and over again. And painful lessons do not serve us if they bring us further away from our spiritual path, our mission, and who we really are as a soul, and integrating that who we are as a soul. I only have a couple minutes left, clearly. 1 second, guys. Hi, baby. You're okay. You're okay. So I'm gonna have to get off soon, because as you can see, we have a little needy girl. But really, what you have to do sometimes whenever it comes to acceptance, and we're gonna have to talk about this more tomorrow because I'm getting interrupted, is that what you have to do right now in the middle, you don't have to accept something that was unacceptable. You don't have to accept the people who harmed you. We're doing things for your highest good yet. You might get to that point when you start to bypass your whenever you've integrated more, but that's not, we'll talk about that later. That's like a whole nother step in the process. For right now, just accept that you can't accept it. Because a lot of times we feel so much shame and guilt because we want to be perfect and we want to be more evolved than we actually are. And we try to fight the fact that we're still human and we're still going through it and we're still trying to accept it. So sometimes acceptance is just accepting where you are in the process. Sometimes acceptance is just allowing yourself to be where you are and allowing yourself to be unhealed and allowing yourself to be wounded and then moving on with your life and doing something different, and you'd be surprised how quickly things start to change. So we'll talk more deeply about acceptance because this little one is needing a lot of attention today, and she's just miserable. She's going through teething and everything. I hope that made sense, even though I'm kind of a little bit distracted right now. But we'll talk more about this tomorrow. I'm going to try to do a lot of lives on trauma because I have so much to say, and I think it's really important that we start talking about this in a real way. And I gotta go so I could deal with her. So I love you guys very much, and I will talk to you soon. You are so loved. It's okay to be exactly where you are. You don't have to be this perfect ascended being yet. That happens whenever we let go of all these expectations of who we actually think we're supposed to be. So don't work against yourself. Don't go against the tide. Accept where you are right now in this moment because it's perfect. Okay, say bye, Kaylee. Okay, she's just gonna pull my hair. All right, bye everybody. Have a great day. Sorry, I hope it's not too wobbly. All right, bye-bye.